what kind of hero skills they're getting. In this game, I'm going to ruin it. Lucifer decides to use Frost Armor as well as Frost Nova. And he opts out of going Dark Ritual. I kind of thought that was weird, but it works out well for his strategy in the end, actually. Also, you will notice that he is being followed by a Shade if you have Fog of War off. That's a good thing to do, is just kind of run around with a Shade. Generally, I don't just make it follow their hero. I kind of make it run around on its own and make sure that they're not expoing. Because generally, this is at least what I like to do, and I've seen a couple pro players do this, is just actually they keep they keep a Shade near their hero anyways, just so that they make sure that they're not being followed by one. So, you know, you kind of don't want to lose Shades that way. It's kind of a waste of money. But sacrificial pits are always a good thing to get. At least when you hit like 50 food, you might as well build one. You know, just because the scouting's nice. I mean, and if you get into like one of those situations where it's like heroes versus heroes and you're really low on mana. By the way, this is kind of a crucial part of the game. He's kind of got Lucifer in the worst position possible, because not only can Lucifer not use his technique of micro, which is kind of attacking and moving away, he's also got really good positioning on his hero. So obviously he's going to pretty much dominate the crap out of his stuff, out of his guys. But here's another reason why you bring a Shade along with you, because you can actually like pick off their units here and there. And you know, as you do notice, he does have the Shade with him, but like Burrowed Fiends kind of get raped because A, they're not doing damage, B, you know, if they're not doing damage, they're just kind of taking damage. That was a really nice creep steal, by the way. That's really hard to do if you're smart about it. Like, what he did was he anticipated that, you know, the creeps were going to be at that, you know, at like 200 HP by the time the coil got there. So he kind of like preemptively launched it. I thought that was cool. Anyways, so also you can pick off wards, because that is one of the drops on this map. I haven't really talked about anything really that map specific. Generally on maps like Twisted Meadows, the gargoyle strat is usually the more popular strat, just because you can actually creep out the corner camps. On this map, it's kind of a 50-50 shot. I mean, it's kind of a bad map for undead anyways, but since it's mirror, the balance really doesn't make that much of a difference. The one thing that usually does make a huge difference is the closeness of the if I could talk, the Goblin Laboratories, or Laboratories. It doesn't really matter how you pronounce it. But generally what people will do is like send a skeleton, pick one up, or pick up, what is that, a freaking sapper. I know, I kind of got pissed at my own words. But and then they use the skeleton as like the meat shield to take care of the Black Citadel's slow and stuff, so that the sapper doesn't die, and then the sapper goes in and like blows up an acolyte and like 2 ziggurats. I've seen that used a lot. So that's one thing to make sure, you know, you kind of want to keep checking, is that they don't send a skeleton and blow up your stuff. So if you do get a ward, I generally put one like at the corner, like near the shop, like in between the shop and the Goblin Lab, just so that I can see, okay, something's coming at my base, wonder what it is, go click, you go, OMG, a sapper, and then just get like your ghouls to go and focus it. That's like the best way to take care of it. You know, if they're smart about it, they'll blow up your ghouls, but, you know, whatever. It's better than losing a couple ziggurats and losing all that time. So, yeah, that's that. A little more creeping going on. That's pretty much what this game is about. A lot of the mirror games are actually a lot of creeping, which is sad, but, you know, such is life. More strategy-wise, I will mention that Lucifer is actually getting a Frostworm and, you know, Boneyards. Oh my god, don't see those very often. Well, in this case, it actually works out fairly well. I haven't really followed that much Undead Mirror, so if it's like more common, just let me know and be like, dude, you're a dumbass. Anyways, yeah, I haven't played ladder in like forever. I haven't played charades in 10 years. Anyways, God, that was the most retarded comment I've ever made. But yeah, he is going Frostworms, and the reason that they're actually effective in this case is because they rape the crap out of ghouls. And the one thing about the Frostworms that, you know, you can't do to destroyers is actually use the Frost Armor. So it kind of neutralizes the gargoyles a little more. And I thought it was smart. I thought it was clever. My problem is, like, if they get like, if they switch to Ghouls Fiends, which I've seen a couple people do, it's kind of not like effective at all. But if you know they're going Gargoyles, it's a little safer, and especially at this point of the game. But yeah, at this point of the game, I thought this was kind of interesting. They're both kind of at 50 food, and Fav is about to jump into low upkeep. Well, he just did jump into low upkeep. But what he does is he doesn't jump out at him like right away, or kind of get a couple healing scrolls. Well, he does have healing scrolls, but I would have gotten one more for the Lich because, you know, there's an empty slot there, and he had the money to do it. But I kind of thought it was interesting that he didn't jump out right away and save his crypt. He is kind of playing the dancing back and forth, and what he is doing right now is actually kind of a surprising preemptive strike. Because right now what you see is he's got amazing positioning right around his Fiends, so he can't really run out without losing a couple Fiends. Now, Fav did lose a Gargoyle, but at the same time he made him waste a TP. Now, this is a very important part. I didn't want to mention this before, but like with the Ghoul Garg strategy, is if you kind of like dance around a bit and surprise them at the time you're going to be launching out at them, it makes a huge difference. Like, you wouldn't believe it, and like, it's mind-blowing how much of a difference it makes. Like, if they expect you to come out, they're gonna web a couple things and run away, and they're not gonna lose much. But like, if you Nova them, and especially with like, in this case, he had the little trees. Well, the little trees. He had the he had the wall of trees there to kind of hide a bunch of his ghouls. So, you know, it kind of made it more surprising in the end. Now, one thing that Fav is doing is setting up an expo, which I thought was interesting. I know I've said that like a billion times. I think this is interesting. Well, it is. I don't see a lot of people, like undead players, setting up expos before their gold mine runs out. Like, generally, they just try and outlast the other player. Now, I always find this is silly. But like with Fiends Destros, that's just generally the playstyle, whatever. But I always thought it was stupid because, you know, if you have the lower hero level, chances are you're not going to win in the long run because that's the way Warcraft works. So you might as well try and, I don't know, unsummon a ziggurat or something and set up an expo. Sure, you're going to have like negative food or whatever, and you won't be able to build stuff, but you're not going to have the money to anyways. And even if you have like 500 gold, like when you've started to set up the expo, and you've already unsummoned a ziggurat, that's not a bad thing. You're going to be buying items anyways because your heroes are going to get raped, because that's pretty much what undead does. So that's one thing to keep in mind, is that if you're down on hero levels, setting up an expo is never a bad thing. Also, when you're up hero levels, it's, if you have an advantage, set up the expo. It's just kind of common sense. Anyways, at this point there is going to be a battle, and this battle is actually pretty important, and it is going to show that even if you do go Ghoul Garg, getting one or two Destros is always important, especially if they go with the Frost Armor strategy that Lucifer has done here, because this way you can actually make sure that your Gargs do some damage, and that like pretty much they're wasting their mana, which is what, you know, you don't want to be doing. So at this point, Lucifer's kind of tried to do the hit and run thing. You notice he webbed a whole bunch of stuff, then he kind of ran back. Now, at this in this little section, it kind of goes wrong for him because Fav gets such good positioning on his Fiends that it's ridiculous. Now, the one thing that Lucifer did that I didn't mention was he did get a Crypt Lord. Now, this is so important because if you do go with the Frost Realms and the Fiends, if you do get a Crypt Lord, because it can actually